Hey, what's up, Good Life? Thanks for joining me for today's 128 moment. This coming Sunday, we will wrap up our final series and sermon in the Gospel of John, a book that we started all the way back in March. And where we started was in John 1 with the arrival of the Messiah, where John says the Word became flesh and he dwelt among us. And then last week, we saw Jesus rise triumphantly from the grave, defeating sin and defeating death. I mean, what an amazing study. And John is only one of four gospels that record the birth and the life and the death and the resurrection of Jesus. But we can't forget that the story of Jesus is written throughout the Bible in prophecies that predicted when and where and how God would rescue and redeem his people. In fact, there are hundreds of specific messianic prophecies about the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And Jesus fulfilled every single one of them. It sounds amazing, right? But just how amazing is it? Let me explain it a different way. Instead of thinking of hundreds of prophecies, let's just look at 8. Things like when and where and how the Messiah was to be born, and when and where and how the Messiah was to die. How likely is it for one person to fulfill just 8 of those very specific prophecies? Now, a mathematics and astronomy professor, he calculated those odds and he found them to be 1 in 1 times 10 to the 17th power. That's 1 in 100 quadrillion. That's a 1 with 17 zeros after it. Now, that's a ridiculously huge number. But let's look at it from another perspective to understand just how amazing the probabilities of these prophecies are. Imagine filling the state of Florida 10 feet deep with silver dollars. And then you send a blindfolded person to walk across the state and to find that one marked coin, and they find it on their very first try. That's the chances of that person finding the right coin is the exact same chances of Jesus fulfilling just 8 of the hundreds of prophecies about the Messiah in the Bible, when Jesus fulfilled hundreds of them. And not randomly, not haphazardly, the path was always the plan. In Revelation, it talks about how Jesus was the lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. In 1 Peter, he writes that Jesus was the lamb who was chosen before the creation of the world. And in 1 Corinthians, Paul writes that Jesus was destined before time began. Now, what does all this mean for your life and mine? It means that if you are saved, you can know that within God's big eternal plan, there was a moment where God planned to save you. And if he saved you, part of his plan is to send you, to make his good news known in and through your life. And if he has sent you, thinking about all those prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, you can go out with confidence. Not confidence in yourself, but confidence in the one who sent you, and confidence that his plans are always perfect. So, Good Life, let's be a people who confidently play our part in God's story by confidently carrying the good news to our neighbors and to the nations. Hopefully be able to join us on Sunday as we wrap up the Gospel series in that final chapter of John. We'll be at the church at 9:30 and 11 and online at 11. And until then, let's be a people who confidently carry the good news.